Welcome to the Non-Standard Podcast. I'm your host, Manny Lamson, and what you're going to find in these episodes is just how to improve your quality of leadership just 1% at a time. We don't cover very extreme things because you'll find out that leadership is about consistency, doing the basic things great, and understanding people at the utmost ability to help them get to where they need to go. So I always have a guest on my show, and these guests are going to provide you with some of the basics that they lead by, some of the examples throughout their life, their story, and then also we cover my leadership philosophy in there as well that has helped guide me in becoming a leader as well. So again, the intent here is just for you to learn, and I hope you do. And if you do, you know what to do. Just save, share, like, or follow, anything you got to do to continue this journey. I look forward to doing more and more of these episodes. And with that being said, let's get on with today's episode. Welcome back. On today's episode, we are joined with a good friend. His name is Josh Mackey. He is a chief in the Navy. He's been in for over 20 years. And the cool thing about this conversation is it's just a conversation between two people with amazing mustaches and great personalities. And we just have a fun time with it. We obviously met through social media, which we talk a lot about. But he talks a lot about obviously being a father, coaching his kid, and then just leading by example in the areas that we need to lead by example in, and just multiple great topics that we cover. So I will keep this short and simple. Hope you guys enjoy the episode. And just like I say all the time, man, if y'all love it, please do provide some feedback, save, share it, do what you got to do, because we're continuing to grow and I'm continuing to love doing more and more episodes. So thank you, and let's get on with the show. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Non-Standard Podcast. Just like you heard in the intro, I got my man Josh here, and there's no coincidence about what we are wearing today. We matched in all levels, even the mustaches and the shirts, which his shirt was what motivated my shirt because it's so direct, but it's so cool. Like, I love it. And so I've been wearing it around here every now and then and just throwing it out there, you know. And the reason I loved making this shirt is obviously with the Air Force changing their PT test. It's just like a hot topic right in the world. And so I always preach a lot about fitness on my page, and there's a lot of people that just make excuses and complain about things. And so when I see people out there that are, you know, calling out those and like bringing light to the fact that we need to do better about ourselves and hold each other accountable, what better way than wear a shirt that calls out everybody that you work with? And the reason we wear it is because we obviously lead by example in that area. And so Josh here leads by example in that area. I see a lot of his videos of him jogging and talking and running through like a grocery store when he does some of these edits. And I'm like, bro, how do how do you do that? I think it's amazing. I wish I could be in a store when
people on the toes.
You're just like talking. But yeah, anyways, I got Josh here. He's a chief in the Navy, and we're going to get this show started, man. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So just like for everybody that's listened before, and if you haven't, we always start with the 3 H's: hometown, heroes, and hardships. And the reason I do that is a couple reasons. Is one, it helps me and you listening get to know the person, because we can always spit facts and truths and just like logic, but when you don't know the person, it doesn't relate as much. So it allows us to get to know the person we're talking to. Like, this is the first time I've talked to Josh, and so I will get to know him as well. And then we'll be able to relate on some levels there. And then we'll talk about some career, get into leadership philosophy, and dive down into some leadership traits. But Josh, let's hit the 3 H's: hometown, heroes, and hardship.
Got it. So hometown is a little bit more dynamic for me. My dad was part of the IBM layoff in the 90s, so I moved around a lot. And so that means born in Charlotte, North Carolina, don't really remember it, lived in Raleigh, North Carolina, moved to Atmore, Alabama, moved to Century, Florida, moved to Lexington, Kentucky, finally realized that wasn't a great situation with my dad, moved in with my mom in Gadsden, Alabama, and that's where I currently live. I would say that Gadsden, Alabama is my home. It's just where I went to high school at. I finished high school in Gadsden, Alabama. And that's where I met my wife. That's where my whole family lives. I joke around and say that my family's a commune because my daughter and my grandchild, everyone just lives within a 3-mile radius. So it makes it very convenient for family time. I would say Gadsden is my hometown.
Cool.
For heroes, going into that, I'll probably break your rule. I have to go with 3.
Let's do it.
It's going to be my wife. just for supporting me in everything that I do, being strong when I'm not, being there for me, pulling me out of a lot of bad places. We've had an interesting relationship. We've been married for over 20 years, so that doesn't come without some interesting moments. And what I believe is just makes us such a great story is that anytime one of us has been off, the other one picked up the slack, and that's what she's always done for me. The other one, or the second one, is going to be my son, Will. And it's because he has moved around so much in his life and just had to endure going to new schools and not having a friend there, or not being the coach's favorite because he's not from the area, and having to fight and claw for anything that he could get, and just having such a big heart. I don't know where he got it, because I'm known as the family asshole. That's been my name since I was tiny. And my son is 17, and he's just the nicest person in the world, just a huge heart. And he gives me someone to look up to, and it reminds me, hey, Josh, maybe be a little bit nicer today. And then the last one is going to be Troy Campbell, retired Master Sergeant with the Marine Corps. I met him when I was at a Marine Recon unit, and probably changed the course of me mentally and my career, as far as that is a very judge on physical first environment. And
Yeah.
I'm in the Navy. That's not a big thing in the Navy. And I was just bumbling around holding my status quo for the Navy, which is not very much. And he challenged me. I remember it like it was yesterday. The whole group was going to a functional fitness workout, a CrossFit gym. And I was like, oh, I don't have shoes, or I was whatever excuse it was. And he was like, I don't think that any of this stuff is true. He's like, I think that you're insecure and you just don't want to go because you're afraid you're going to embarrass yourself. He's like, and you're embarrassing yourself more now. You look like a clown. And I was like, that's not what it is. And I showed up, and obviously I did poorly. I don't even think I could do 2 pull-ups at the time. Just did awful. And he's such a funny guy, and he's such a, like, put everyone on Front Street guy. And so I was waiting. Here comes the hammer. Troy's going to make fun of me in front of everybody. And he was like, bro, that's how you get better. What you did today was awesome. You put yourself out there. You did something that you're not good at, and you didn't care. You just went out there and you got it today. And that's freaking dope. And I was like, whoa. And it just wasn't with physical stuff. So in the Navy, we promote with tests. Oh, well, I say we did promote with tests. Now we're changing it to billet-based advancement. I'm not going to get into it. Anyway, I digress. I'm not a proficient test taker. I'm not an overly smart person. And that's why I'm enlisted. And I just was not. He asked me, hey, you studying for the exam? And I was in E5 at the time. And I was like, there's no point. The advancement's like 6%. It's whatever. It's so stupid. And he's like, that's such a cop-out answer. He's like, let me tell you what you're doing right now. You're not studying. So when the results come out, you're like, oh, yeah, I didn't do good. I didn't study. He's like, you could study, but you're scared to death that you'll study and the results won't be there. So you're being a coward. And I was like, fuck, man, can you stop doing this? And I studied, didn't do extremely well on it. And it taught me just to dig in and not worry about that insecure feeling and what's going on with me, and to be better. And I could probably do an entire episode on the little things that Troy Campbell taught me along the way. It's just, he was a guy that truly, and I stole this from him. And so it makes me, I feel proud when I hear my former sailors and Marines talk about it with me. They talk about me in the same light. So it's high praise. He was somebody, if he shows up to a workout, the only way he loses is if he dies. And it doesn't matter if somebody there was better in shape. He'd literally hurt himself to win. And I kind of took that from him. I've had 8 back surgeries, a knee surgery. I have literally injured myself to be able to beat people before. And I'll die out there. They were talking to my former, one of my old corpsmen, I think it was Nick Forsyth, but they were trying to, he's a bit of a runner, and they were trying to get him to go like heads up with me. And he was like, no, he's like, it's pointless. He's just going to kill himself out there. It doesn't matter. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'll die out there. That's the difference. And it's that hyper competitive attitude that he unlocked in me that I believe has carried me a long way. It's made a lot of enemies too, but yeah.
Man, that was perfect. I will go backwards from what you said. From
Let me hit hard
competition.
real quick.
Yeah, so competition is going to breed greatness. And so you talk about it like having that like dog in you, right? Like I tell a lot of airmen, like when I play intramurals, they're not expecting like this officer to like come out there and like just dominate them. They're usually expecting like maybe an officer that's just like lackadaisical or just out there for shits and giggles, like to look good or whatever. But I'll tell them, I'm like, y'all, like especially flag football, because that's like my best sport. Basketball is usually the one where I'm more of a dog because it's just more physical. And then
Yeah.
softball is it's hard to be physical, and it's like it's softball, right? So it's there. But I tell them, I go, hey guys, I even tell the other team, I'll be like, and they know on Dias, like when I'm out there, they're like, oh shoot, it's captain or major, depending on the time I was playing. And I'll tell everybody, even in group PT, I'm like, y'all, like I'm here to compete. Like that's what I love about group stuff. And then most people in the Air Force, when they're at a group PT, are just like chilling, just like hanging out. And I'm like, no, like if you're
Nope.
not out here to like die, right, or just like put in some work, like go home. Like I had a workout I had Airmen do one time, and all I had them do was move around a track for 45 minutes. Like all I asked them to do was move. They didn't have to run. They didn't have to sprint. They could walk for 45 minutes. And I had airmen raise their hand and go, I can't do that. And I went, I don't want to work with you if you can't just move for 45 minutes. And they're like, whoa, what do you mean? I'm like,
Oh, I'm
I'm not,
asking for the minimum
I
here.
know.
This is the bare minimum. Just
They're like, I'm
move.
on a waiver. And I'm like, I don't care. That's why I just said move. Like, you could crawl, you could roll on your belly. I don't care. And
Yeah,
I told
man.
them one of the
Like,
reasons
just
I want you
stand
to,
there and go like this.
yeah, one of the reasons I told them I want them to try is because I told them this. I was like, if you can't try during PT for 45 minutes, I don't want to work with you because I don't expect you to try when the situation gets difficult because you're going to crack, you're going to fail, you're going to be the weakest link. And they're like, oh, that's not true. I'm a hard worker. I'm like, no, you're
No,
not
no,
a
they
hard worker.
directly correlate. Troy used to say, he's like, I like to work out with my new bosses, with my new
Yeah.
Marines. I always get them in a workout because after one or two workouts, I can tell you everything I need to know about that person. And
Yeah.
it stands true. I can look at someone and the effort and what they're willing to put out and everything else. And I'm like, okay, that person's got some dog. And it doesn't mean that they're the fastest, it doesn't mean that they're the
Mhm.
strongest. It's the effort and being willing to go out there and do it.
Yes, that's exactly right. And a lot of people misconstrue that thinking I'm asking them to be the fittest or the fastest, And so, like, it's obviously misleading when I ask them because they probably see my videos and they know how I work out. But most people that know me understand, like, when I ask them to come work out with me, they know why. It's for me to get to know them. And I say it all the time. Like, if you're new and I get to meet you, like the airman out here, right, at Masala that I'm meeting on social media, like, I just met a person last night on social media on TikTok. She's like an officer out here. I was like, hey, let's get together over a walk or a ruck. I didn't ask like to go to a bar, go get lunch or something like that. I was like, no. And she's like, dude, come to my CrossFit gym. I was like, perfect. Like
Dope.
that's, I'll do it. Like I don't like CrossFit because one, it's just it's always hard. No matter whatever workout you do in CrossFit, you can be in
There's
really good
not an
shape.
easy one.
Yeah. And so I was like, I'll go. And she probably knows I do a lot of calisthenics and running. And I wasn't like, no, like come run with me. I was like, I'll go do it. But a lot of people know when they first meet me, even the airmen that know me a long time know when we get together, it's over a workout, it's over a ruck. It's over a walk, just something just to bond in a different place.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said it perfect. That group activity, that competition is going to bring out the best in everybody too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then another thing you talked about, and I was just reading this in my Japanese culture book, and they're big on it too. When you talked about when Troy was like, you just don't want to try, so you have the reason to not or to like accept the results. The Japanese culture is really big on trying no matter what, regardless of it. And so like you even said, like you just some people don't try because they're anticipating the result to not go in their favor, so they won't have an excuse like already to back it up, which is like
Yep.
a horrible mindset to have because you're just not setting yourself up. And so that's one thing I try to tell a lot of people as well. It's like, dude, just go try. Like go do it because
And what
nobody's.
I learned at my last job was a drug and alcohol counselor. So I'm sitting in a room talking to people with substance abuse problems, listening to the worst time of their entire life and helping them process those emotions. What that is not just a horrible mindset. It's actually a cognitive distortion called future telling. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just future telling
Yeah.
about whatever's going to happen and making it a worst case scenario and everything else.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so psychological, man. It's insane. Oh, that was another book. I think it was in that other psychological book I'm reading too. Um, but yeah, and it brings me up to another concept a lot of people think too much about is what other people think of them. Like a lot of people
Yep.
are always just like, I'm not going to do this because this person is going to think I did that. You're already going down a path that's not going to exist. Like nobody
Another
cares.
cognitive distortion called mind
Exactly,
reading.
dude.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. There are so many people where they're like, I don't want to work out because somebody's going to think I'm fat and overweight, or they're going to make fun of me when I go to the gym. It's like, dude, do you know how many people get made fun of at the gym when they go? No one, because I go to the gym
Nobody.
all the time, and there's not people there making fun of people. It's not like
No.
that. Like it's just
And
some
that's the
psychological.
misconception with the no fat chiefs. I've been doing the no fat chief shirts and patches for years. And
Okay,
that's the
nice.
misconception with it, is that it's against people that are overweight or whatever else. You know
Yeah,
who it's against? It's against the person that's comfortable with that and just
mm,
continues
yeah,
not holding that standard.
yeah,
It's with the person that's almost proud of the lack of standard that they're holding. That's who it's against. I
yeah,
help so many people that are borderline out of standards at that place. Hey, these are some running tips. This is what helps me. Send me
yeah.
your runs, send me your workouts. I'll help you with this. Let's go for a run. Let's go for a workout. Hey, man, that's awesome. What you're doing today is great. I'm all about that stuff. It's the ones that are stagnant and they're in this leadership position, and that's the example that they're setting. That's who it's against.
Exactly, dude. And that's what I said when I first like made a video of mine. It was like I'm not like calling people out or making fun of them. I'm here to help. And the ones that'll reach out are the ones that want help. The ones that give me a hard time or like, oh, that's a rude shirt to wear. I'm like, obviously you think it's rude because you're the one it's probably pointing
Yeah,
to, but I'm not going to make fun of them after that. I'm going to be like, look, if you need help, like I'm here to help you, like it's, yeah,
it sounded like my shirt's reaching its intended audience.
it is. Um, that's cool. Yeah. So that was that. And then, yeah, man, the son and wife, man, that's cool, man. I love it. Obviously I have two boys now. One's 10 and one's like one in like a couple months. And so I'm not there to where they're not old yet. And so I look forward to those times. I love seeing the videos of your kid out there playing football, and I'm like, man, because I just grew up like that with my dad, like in the same exact position you're in. And so I look forward to those days where, like I can sit back and
It's
just be like
the
you. And it's just
absolute
like,
best.
yeah, just to sit back and be like, man, where did he get that from? Like it wasn't from me, but like it's just so cool because I see it now in my son, but then I see the traits where I'm like, dang, man, you are just like me, or you're just like your mom. I wish the best for you in the world.
Yeah, yeah, I
um,
think that all the time because he does have a lot of my quote unquote bad traits, and I'm like, man, because the phrase in the army is you're either going to be a smart ranger or a strong ranger, and I'm
okay.
like, well, you are going to be a strong ranger. Like you are going to learn a lot of lessons the worst way.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
it is awesome. I coached him in every sport, even the sports I hate.
okay.
Like I despise basketball, don't enjoy it at all, don't know a thing about soccer. Coached him at soccer. That was his first sport that he played when he was 6. Coached him in basketball. Coached him in football. Up until he got in high school, I coached him. I was his head coach for every
Nice.
sport. And it
That's
wasn't
cool.
easy to do. It's
Oh,
difficult to be a junior enlisted and be like, hey, First Sergeant, I got to leave work at 2 today to make sure I do this. And I'm just thinking, I don't care. My son is more important. He's not going to remember me making this meeting or staying until 16:30, but he will remember me being at his team sport and coaching him, not being the parent that's sitting in the chair playing on their phone. I'm out there coaching him and his fellow team and being there for him. And it's so awesome seeing him grow now and doing all of this stuff. And like you said, I think that people don't quite understand the example that they're setting as parents in everything that
yeah.
they do. That's why I love your videos when your kids are working out or your daughter's beating everyone at a plank and just crushing people. It's the things that they see is carrying them so far, and they're watching. Even if they're not doing it, they're
Yeah.
watching, and that's the example. And that's how you want your kids to talk about you. There's a guy at school, Will's school. He's the track coach, way faster than I'll ever be. He's done some runs. I've done some 50 milers and stuff, but he's done even further. He did a 100 miler. Like this, he's the dude. and they were asking, well, hey, who do you think would win? Because the town sees me run around all the time.
Mm.
And they're like, who do you think would win in a race, your dad or so-and-so? And he's like, and before he could answer, Will's cousin goes, Will's dad would hurt himself to win. That's just how he is. He's made like that. He would hurt himself. I'm like, oof. And I love that that's how he talks about me. I
Yeah.
love that that's what he's seen. And I mean, I don't know. I don't think that the parents get it. I've also never seen a fat kid with skinny, working out, athletic parents.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm. Man.
maybe be more cognizant of the example that you're setting.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, everything you said is right on. Like I see it so much in my kids now, and it's crazy. I didn't see it before when I wasn't leading by example, and I think that's like the blind side of not leading by example. You're blinded by not seeing it, you know, and so you just don't care. And so now that I do it, and I see, it's cool to see it in my kids when I'm not like expecting it, like the plank thing, right? Like my wife and I were not expecting that because that was the first time we'd seen JoJo like compete, especially against adults or without like her brother or us around her. So we just didn't know what to think. Like when she even offered to do it with my wife, we were like caught off guard because she's so shy. She's just super shy around most people, but she's a freak athlete. Like she's got calves of steel. She's got crazy
I bet
quads.
there were some butthurt adults there.
And so like we looked at each other and we're like, JoJo wants to do this? Like, why not Connor? Connor's usually one that always likes to fun compete, you know, but I think he knew he was going to get smoked. And so he was like, I'm good. And so she did it, and then my wife fell out. And so when my wife fell out, we sort of looked at each other and like, well, JoJo will probably just like fall out, right? Because like you're not doing it. And then she kept going, and we're like, this is weird. We were like looking at each other, like, is she what happened? You know, like who is this girl? And then she just kept going, and we're just like, what the? And she just crushed it, you know. And the guy next to her, obviously, he sort of like fell at the end, you know, because he was a cool guy and he understood. But still, for her
That's
last
dope.
19 minutes in a plank I've never had her do a plank for more than probably 3 minutes. So like, we've never practiced it. I didn't know what to expect.
And we all know that time slows down in a plank. That's so impressive.
Man. And so yeah, that was like one of the things. That was like just one of the moments where I think my wife and I sort of stood back, like, man, they do see like a lot because they've seen me like kill myself in the gym, you know, all the time. And so that was like one of those moments. And then for my son, he's just so competitive and emotional at the same time. It's just like, man, I can't wait for you to get into a sport where you start understanding it and build your rhythm, because he's gonna see the same thing. And I think he's just gonna be like me, just super stubborn when he plays, where he's just gonna go all out, sacrifice himself, and it's just really cool to see. But yeah, and then for the parents out there, they do exactly what you do. You may not see it now, but you'll see it 10, 15 years down the road, and then you're gonna be like, dang, you know. Or you can be exact opposite, you know, like where you're at, and be like, yep, you just know, you're like, yep, that's what I did, you know, and that's why.
Yeah, that's what I love. There's some statistic, I won't try to guess the numbers, but how crazy more likelihood a kid is to smoke if smoking is in the house, and the same thing with drinking. Not that I don't drink, but it's very social. My son's never seen me drunk. I don't like getting drunk. I'm a control freak, so that feeling of being out of control, don't enjoy the next day. I'm 41 years old, so there's no desire in me to have a headache and to move around sluggish. And I don't think that there's a big desire for him to drink. And the houses that have that growing up, it's exponentially more when they have that, because that's what they've been introduced to at a young age. So these kids are watching literally everything.
Yeah. And it's hard because even what they're doing when they're not watching us, they're watching other people, because those dang videos, man, like they're watching it everywhere. But yeah. And then the big one, you know, like your wife, you know, and one of the things you hit that I've seen in my wife and I's relationship is like the ups and downs, you know, like when one of us is doing good or one of us is struggling, the other one is there to like bounce back, you know, and like keep everything afloat, you know. Like my wife is definitely my rock, you know. She's the one where if anything crazy I want to talk to, she'll give me this honest answer, you know, and I love her for it, but then I hate her at the same time because it's always so honest, and it's like the truth, and it's the right thing I should do. And I'm like, no, I want to do this. But I'm like, nope. She's like the one that like as soon as I think of something crazy, like when I was thinking about getting out, to like become more of a personal coach during like my Ironman phase, she was like, "Don't do it," like give it one more year. And I was like, "No, I don't like to be one right now. It's not fun," like a little baby. And then
No.
yeah, obviously, like you sit back and you breathe for a little bit, and then I was like, "Okay, you're right."
Yeah. I like to
uh,
say she's my calmer half. She's the one that I can bring the problems to, and she can
yeah,
bring it more to a realistic point of view. And yeah,
yeah,
you're spot on. Those moments, 20 years, we've had some ups and downs. And for her to be able to pick up my pack when I'm pretty low and carry our relationship and everything by herself because I couldn't do it has just been, I mean, wildly impactful on me.
yeah. No, and so yeah. Most people know the military spouse is definitely underappreciated and underrecognized in any job in the military. And so there's always just those times where you just got, you have to recognize them. And so it's really cool. I appreciate you doing that. Cool. Let's talk about some of your military career and sort of what led into, what we've sort of already talked about the struggles. Oh no, hardships. Yeah. We've got to talk about one hardship at least, even though you've talked about a couple already, but
It's so funny when I saw that. For those that don't know, he sends a little pre-brief. Hey, this is what we're going to cover. And when it said hardships, I was like, "Where do I start?" Like, I mean, just what? Uh, I think, man, uh, growing self-disclosure, some vulnerability. Growing up with a dad that didn't quite know how to be there for me, and battled some substance abuse issues of his own, I think would probably be my biggest hardship and struggle to date because it was, I mean, rough growing up and not having the person there that I've always been for Will. And even now, like I'll get emotional thinking about, man, like how did I not have that? Thinking about little Josh. It was a pretty rough hardship and impactful on me, and I think that that's why my last job, being a drug and alcohol counselor, was a nice piece of closure to be able to maybe get in there and help some little Joshes deal with their issues, or maybe help curb a dad that was going down that path.
yeah, that's, yeah, thank you for that. And then, just like you've already mentioned, those hardships, they're, they're not necessary or needed, but they're going to happen. And so
Yeah,
I tell a lot of people, especially some of the younger airmen I get on my show, where they're like, I don't know if I have like a hardship. Like life's been okay, or like because they're young, they still have their parents are together, they're with their high school, they're in the military, so they're like nothing crazy's happened. And so most of the time, I have to let them know, like, hey, that is technically a hardship because you just don't know what it's going to be like when you get a hardship, and that because
yeah.
it's going to
Your
happen.
resilience is probably lacking because life has fell a certain way for you. That is a hardship.
Yeah, and then you're just gonna have to understand when a hardship happens. How are you going to handle it? Are you going to complain and be like, "Oh, I've never been through a hardship, so that's like my excuse to not put up with it," or are you going to take it on the chin and be like, "Hey, I'm not gonna let this get me down." Like I knew this was gonna happen sometime in my life where it could be as simple as a pet dying, or I get fired from a job or something like that. But how do I get back next? And so that's one of the reasons why I love it when I challenge a lot of young airmen now to go out when they get to know their airmen and share their struggles with them instead of like their wins or their careers, which, a lot of the airmen think officers have like this bright, shiny career that's like has no struggles and that's how they became an officer, which is sort of like the exact opposite.
Yeah,
Most
it's
most
couldn't be
most
further from the
officers,
truth.
yeah, I know. Most officers or just senior enlisted people in the military didn't get there on like the straight golden brick road. It's it's like you're the Wicked Witch of the West, most likely to get there. You weren't Dorothy on the golden brick road.
Yep. That's what I think a big reason that I'll talk about a lot of my misses than I will about my hits. I don't tell everyone the sailor of the year boards I was at or whatever. I'll tell them, hey, this is when I went to a disciplinary review board and almost got NJP'd. This is when I lost out on the eval because I did X, Y, and Z. This is why I almost got kicked off the deployment to Iraq before it even happened. And that's the stories that I'll tell because I think that there's more life lessons and it creates a bond of, hey, Chief's not perfect. Chief has done some stuff too. So he's not this guy, like you said, just gone down this golden paved road all the time.
Yep. No, that's cool. I like the misses and hits. That's a good way to phrase it. Um, that's good. I'll take that one. All right, let's dive into the leadership philosophy that I started to live by. For those listening, I developed like just a couple leadership traits that help guide me through my day. And if you don't have one, highly recommend you have something just to keep your moral compass going. And so for me, I go by four of them: lead by example in all you do. To be selfless, you have to be selfish. Build relationships based off trust and care, and then challenge the road in front of you, getting comfortable being uncomfortable. So out of those four, which one is stands out to you, or which one would you like to emphasize more for people that may not understand it as much? We've already hit, which I always like when we get here because we've already hit like most of them. We've
Yeah.
hit lead by example in all you do, build relationships, get uncomfortable, be
It's
selfless.
so difficult to pick one because I think that that's why we clicked is there's so many similarities. The build relationship sounds like such a low one in the tier of those, and I
Yeah.
don't know that the younger people coming up in the military understand how important those relationships are. And later on, they'll see it when I'm able to pull like, oh man, you have a person for everything. I'm like, yeah, I build relationships with people. It's so difficult to pick just one. If I absolutely gun to my head had to, it's got to be lead from the example. I'm a like one of my philosophies is lead from the front, and
Yeah.
it's so important. And that's what I see, and that's what bothers me with. So I'm an FMF corpsman, a Fleet Marine Force corpsman. Wherever the Marines go, I'm their attached medical asset, and I almost despise former FMF corpsmen because they go to the hospital and get fat and nasty because they think that they've achieved this great thing from being an FMF corpsman, and that's the thing that they lie on forever. And we'll talk about that later. Um, that's why I lead from the front. I'm like, what are you talking about? You didn't accomplish anything. You're still accomplishing. Your career is not over. So you have to lead from the front because the sailors that you're around at the hospital are not seeing this guy or girl that was with the Marines and kicking in doors or shoot, move, communicate. They're not seeing that. What they see is this out of standards person that talks about how they used to be great. I have to lead from the front. Anytime that I've showed up for a Navy PT test, the kids that know me when they show up, they're like, oof, like he's bringing it today. And I'm like, yeah, you're damn right. Every single time because I have to lead from the, and that's in a hospital environment where no one cares about physical fitness in the Navy. I won't speak in absolutes. Almost no one cares about physical fitness in the Navy. And so one of our tests are a plank. I don't drop my plank. The max plank is I think 3 minutes and 50 seconds. I don't drop it until the last sailor drops theirs.
Nice.
I'm like, I'll stay here all day. I do the push-ups are for 2 minutes. Most people will drop after 50 seconds because they've maxed out or they've done whatever. I push for the entire 2 minutes and get as much as I can. When the run starts, it's a mile and a half run. It starts when the last person crosses the start line. As soon as they say go, I've done it for over 10 years. I stop, go down, untie my shoe, and retie it and give everyone a head start for about 20 seconds because it doesn't really start until I cross. And mentally, for me, they think that it's like a bragging thing. Sure, it is. And what for mentally, I'm already behind, so I have to run faster. And it forces me to just haul. And I catch every single one of them, crush them. And it's because I think I have to lead by example because they're going to talk about that chief that did that forever. I've had people reach out, man, I was just telling them about this chief that I had and they knew him too. They knew you too. And they talked about the same experiences. I have to lead from the front. I can't lead from the front if I'm sucking wind in the back. And that's what's so important to me out of those. I mean, they're all important. And that leading from example and leading from the front is huge. That's why the cats that are on social media for clicks and to sell supplements or t-shirts or whatever else, and they're not holding the standard or they're not leading from the front or they're talking about how far they backslid and they're trying to get back on the right track. Like you shouldn't even be in front of the camera leading until you're actually at the standard and leading from it because you're setting a bad example. Just my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, and one of the things you brought up that I think the Air Force is trying to switch to is like group PTs. Like we're switching to the 2-year PT test, where one of them they're trying to incorporate like AFSCT, however they do theirs, like as a group setting. And so
Yeah.
every time I take a test, if I'm out there, because we do it individually, so we may take it like around other people at the same time, and we go to our fitness cell to do it. And so I'll tell everybody
That's
there, I don't
awful.
even Yeah, it's horrible. I know.
Why
And so
would you
I'll
ever
go
do it
there
individually?
because it's the Air Force. They don't care about PT.
Yeah. Is it a
uh,
thing like y'all only have so many butlers, and so you have to stop because the butler to airman ratio?
Mine's just sitting over here waiting for this podcast to get done so he can serve me breakfast.
He's like cooking
He's
on
just,
a little stovetop.
I'm like, be quiet.
We're recording. Jarvis, stop.
uh,
No, I
uh,
agree. I think the group PT, and even any time that I've been the senior enlisted or the leading chief petty officer of a group, they know, like, I'll lay out expectations.
yeah,
I'm big on expectation management. And one of my things is like, we're going to PT together.
yeah.
And that's huge. And I remember like it was yesterday, and she ended up being one of my best sailors. But Jamaica Lewis called me up. I was doing a game called Speedball. If you don't know what it is, I'll explain it to you afterwards. It's the greatest group PT that you can do because it plays to all levels. I love it. As much as I hate when I get drug into a softball for a group PT because it doesn't play at all levels and there's so much standing around. Speedball is the best. It's not just the athletic people getting it; it's everyone.
Nice.
Anyway, I digress. She calls me or shoots me a message the night before. She was my leading petty officer, and she was at HM1. I'm a chief, and she goes, "Hey, chief, just letting you know tomorrow for speedball, I'm gonna bring some workout equipment and work out on the side during that." And I said, "Hey, HM1, thanks for hitting me up. I appreciate you letting me know. Tomorrow's PT is going to be speedball. That's what we're doing." And she calls me. She was like, "Hey, chief, I don't think you understand. Like, I'm going to bring some PT gear." And I'm just going to PT off on the side some bands. I got like all the stuff, and you can even direct me at what you want me to do. I was like, easy day. I'll direct you to do speedball because that's what we're doing tomorrow. Real silence, and she starts saying something. H1, I think that you're mistaking this for a two-way conversation. It's a one-way. We are playing speedball tomorrow. Well, I'm worried about an injury, chief. Well, then play at the level that you can play at. And
Yeah,
so she showed up, and what I love about it is just like anytime I implement group PT, nothing but bitching and complaining. Oh, this is awful.
yeah,
Oh, and what happens afterwards?
dude, they love it.
Everyone's smiling. They loved it. They had a good time. Hey, and guess
Yeah,
who? A couple of months later, went out and bought her own cleats to play speedball in because she loved it so much. It was her, and she was awesome. And the whole time when we're out there, I'm like egging her on, like, "Oh man, like, oof, defensive beast over here, this and that," and she's having fun, and it starts creating buy-in. I'm like, man, this is why we do the group PT because it brings this out. There's a camaraderie building
yeah,
aspect. There's stuff that y'all wouldn't be doing at any other time. So I'm here for all of the excuses, and I'm just gonna bat them away. Just like the sailors will come up with the excuses before PRT. We'll be in our 8-week window. And they're like, "Hey, chief, are we going to stop PT because we're in our 8-week
Mhm.
window?" And I said, "Why would we stop PT when we're closer to testing out physically?" "Well, in
yeah,
case of injuries." "Okay, well, hey, no one drive to work tomorrow because you might get in a car wreck and hurt yourself. Hey, I don't want anyone eating food at all anymore because you might choke and die. Let's really rein this in, guys. No, we're PTing tomorrow. I'll
yeah,
see you at 06.
yeah. Man, so many points there. Like I do the same thing with PT tests when airmen are like, "Hey, sir, should I like calm down before the test?" I'm like, "No, go take the test the day before. You're not going to die. I could take the Air Force
Yeah.
PT test 10 times a day if I wanted to, and I'd still take it the next day and get 100%.
You could
Heck,
walk
I
in my
work out
office
before
while
I
I'm in the
take a
middle of
PT
building a
test.
spreadsheet and say, "Josh, you got to go take the Navy PT test." All right.
I know, yeah.
Let me send real quick.
And then when you talked about the bitching and then the fun, like that's a given. Like my wife and I say this all the time about our kids. Every time we go do something and they hate it, we literally will just like look at each other because we know after they're done, they're going to love it. And so we just like chaff it every time. It's just like a thing in the house now. Our kids are like, "I don't want to do it." And then we'll try to leave. "I don't want to leave. It's the best thing ever." We're like, okay, that's right.
Yeah.
And then
Conversely, as a parent, when I take them and I'm like, I build this thing up that it's going to be great and I get buy-in and then it flops, that's the worst. I'm like, sorry guys, this did kind of suck.
And the group PT thing is another thing too. I implemented it a lot when I was a flight commander, and I still get airmen to this day that I'm not in their direct command leadership will be like, and I don't remember them, because I did squadron PT as well. So I had like 10 other shops I'd run PT for, and I still get airmen that are like, "Sir, I still remember your group PTs." Like I did not want to do it, but it was still one of the funnest workouts I've had. And I'm like, dude, like, thank you, man. Like, now you need to go do it. So now I'll get people message me and be like, hey, sir, like, do you have that group PT you did? Or I'm running group PT now. Like, because we just don't do it in the Air Force. And it's crazy. Um, it's it's like a
Same for the
hidden
Navy.
gym. It's a
That's
hidden
why
gym.
I've gotten along with
Camaraderie.
I've been at more Marine Corps units than I have
Yeah.
the Navy, and that's why I get along with the Marines a lot better because there's so much more pushback. I'll create these awesome workout groups when I'm with the Marines, and they all buy in and they love
Yeah.
it. With the Navy, it's pulling
Man,
teeth.
like our
Why do
commander
we
and
have to
our
PT? We could be eating right now.
yeah. I have
Oh.
people work at 9. We're getting done at 7:30. Like I can get
Like
done
I
at
promise you, y'all,
8:45.
y'all
Go
are
to the
gonna
gym.
live.
Yeah.
It's gonna be okay.
Go to the gym and shower. No, I can't do that.
Every excuse that they can. Oh, well, I mean, we have our first patients coming in. Then leave PT 15 minutes
Yeah.
early.
Yeah.
At
Or
least you
go there
showed up.
earlier, start, and then I'll see you there, and then you can leave. Like, you don't have to start when I start or we start. If you want to go earlier, go ahead. Like, I'm not going to stop you. Like, it's, oh, man. Um, but yeah, that's definitely a hot topic. But that was good. One of the ones you mentioned was relationships, and I'm a huge fan of relationships. And like you said, people underestimate it. And it's crazy that the military is so bad at it for how relation oriented the military is. Like it, and you've probably seen it in your job. Like when you do build relationships, people think you're like it's like a hidden trait that you have like tucked away. And they're like, "How'd you do it?" Like you're like, "How'd I do what? Be a decent human and get to know somebody?" They're like, "Yeah,
Just
how'd you
care
do
about
that?"
somebody. Yeah,
That
like,
blows
and
my mind.
I think that I was always somewhat proficient at it. And there was so many major moments in a career. I had just flown all day to Djibouti. They had lost my bag when I was flying Air Ethiopia or whatever. And it was when I was with Naval Special Warfare. So I'm with the little compound there. I'm frustrated. It's been a long day. And one of the lowmans on the compound was telling me where my little room was going to be and where I could get my freaking like the what do you call it, the bed sheets and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And one of the officers was there also, and we were talking, and I was just real short with him. Just I was tired and crabby, and he walks away, and before I could leave, the LT was like, "Hey, hold on, Doc. This community is really small. And so it's important that you're cognizant of how you treat every single person, even the person that's giving you your room assignment and your bed sheets, because that's going to go a long way. And if you turn into someone that's difficult with the people that aren't important, then the important people are going to right click delete you." And I just felt so ashamed and embarrassed. And I was like, fuck. And I even went up to the guy later and I was like, hey, sorry if I was crabby earlier. It's been a long day. They lost my bags. Like, no excuses. I suck. Sorry. And ever since then, I'm hyper aware and intentional with how I treat every single person.
Yeah, that's one of the leadership traits I give like right away when people are asking me like, how do I become a better leader? Or like, oh, I'm not a leader right now. What can I do? And I'm like, dude, just get to know people. Like, but
Yeah.
not in your shop. Like, I want you to go and like get to know like in our instances, as when we fly, we get like a transpo person that comes and picks us up and takes us to the plane and stuff. And so I'm like making sure I'm like, talking to them when we're on the bus, like, hey, how's your day? Usually they're playing music. So I talk to them about their music. So I don't know what it is, but I'll just ask them, like, it's those little
You're like,
things,
hey,
where
kid, 6'7", am I right?
yeah. um, and so like it's those little moments where, and I tell people it's a compound effect. Like you don't go out and meet one person and that like checks your relationship goal for your rest of your career, right? Like it's compounding. So it's like one small conversation you have over time with that one person is going to build up. And so like the more smaller conversations I have with that LRS airman, over like 4 months, let's just say it's 2 minutes each time, it all adds up. And then there's going to come a moment where I'm going to see that person and they're going to be able to maybe ask me something they wanted because I had those small conversations. And they're going
Yep.
to be like, hey, sir, you're the one that's on the bus. I recognize you because your mustache. Like, you talk to me about this. Can I ask you something? And you're going to be like, sure. And then that one question could like change their career.
Yep.
Just because of those small moments. It's the same way when I go out to get groceries. I try to acknowledge the person there with their name. And I'll be like, "Hey, Isaiah, thanks. For bag, just for being here, just like bag my groceries or whatever." And sometimes they'll hear their name and they're like, "Oh, cool." Like, okay. And I try to do it like even in Masawa, man. Like when I walk to the gym, there's always those like, there's those memes and videos of like guys walk to the gym and they like don't know each other, so I do the head nod, and then it's like,
Yeah.
"What's up?" And then it's like they're best friends, and so I do that.
Yep.
It's the same way, and it's all compounding. People think you have to get the relationship built like the first time you meet them, so they're overwhelmed. They don't know if they did it right, and it doesn't have to be like that.
No, not at all. And I agree. I'm so big on small relationships and just any moment. I'll have people hit me up in the DMs and be like, "Hey, Chief, I saw this and I had some questions." Or just the other day, "Hey, H&1 and I'm at a crossroads. Can you help me out?" Instantly, I don't text them back. I said, "Hey, here's my cell phone number. Give me a
Mhm.
call. Let's talk." I'll make the time because
Yeah,
it's important. And that's what I wish I would have had a little bit more growing up.
exactly.
Instantly, whoever they are, I'm like, "Hey, here's my number. Give me a call."
Yeah, like I could never imagine Airman Lamson like being able to reach out to an officer and have that officer like directly reach back to them with like their Instagram or their phone number and be like, "Dude, just shoot me a text." Like
Yeah,
that'd blow
exactly. And
my
then when I get
mind.
on the phone, they're like, "Chief, Chief, Chief," and I'm like, "Hey, first off, Josh is cool. Let's just be people. What are you working with? What are you doing right now?" And they're like,
Yeah,
"Josh is cool. What?" And I'm like, "Let's just be people, man. It's okay."
yeah. I always make that an emphasis when I do emails. There's always the first email where I always start with like the rank and the last name, and then I'll sign with my signature block. But once they respond back, my next response is their first name, and then my signature block is my call sign or Manny. And so that lets them know, right? Like, hey, you're a person now, right? I didn't know you before, so I wanted to keep it, like correct. But now that you responded, which I always appreciate when people respond to emails because ghosting is a horrible email etiquette of mine that I freaking hate. So when they respond, I automatically know, like, cool, you passed my like
Yeah,
good
here's the
person
first
check.
test. You're at least responsive.
Yes, and then I'm like, now we're on the talking level. Hey, John, thanks for replying, blah, 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 signature block, snare. So they know, like, snare. Oh, cool. That's his call sign. It's not like he didn't like, and it lets them know, like, we have built that relationship of trust. Like,
I agree.
same as when I reach out to people on social media, they may respond to me with like a sir because they obviously see my page and know I'm an officer, but I'll respond back with, like, obviously, I'll be like, hey, this is Manny, right? Whenever somebody texts me in the military, I will never respond with, this is like Major Lamson. I'll just be like, yo, this is Manny. I got your number. Just let them know, like, we're not doing this direct, right? We're texting each other. So it's obviously like an informal way. I'm not going to lead with Major Lamson. That'd be awkward in an informal text message.
That's weird because in the email that you sent me, you demanded I call you Major the entire interview.
I did, I did
That's
put that
really
in my email.
strange. Yeah,
I was like,
you're
when you
like
start
at
this
all
podcast, you will
times.
refer to me as rank last name.
No, I
Uh,
agree. I'm at my
yeah.
last Marine Corps unit. My first sergeant heard one of my HM2s be like, "Hey, Josh, we're doing this with the paperwork," and I was like, "Sounds good, dude." And he goes, "Did he just call you Josh?" I was like, "Yes, first sergeant." And he was like, "And that's okay?" I was like, "Why would it not be okay? We're in our medical space. We're working. I know what my rank is. I hear it all the time. I don't need to be reminded. He knows there's a time and place to use the rank. We're okay just being people and working."
Yeah.
And to
And
his
that's,
credit, he didn't force a change. He was like, "We'll see if that works for you." And I'm like, "Hey, partner, it's gonna work. Don't you worry."
yeah, and that's where trust, and that's why trust is built through relationships, because I have airmen on my base that know me by Manny because we work out all the time. They're my best friends, but we've built a relationship where if it's in a professional setting, they know Manny probably isn't the most appropriate. So they'll say like, "Hey, sir, like, how's it going?" They're not going to high five me when we're walking down the street. They'll still salute me, do what they got to do, because we understand the trust we've built. There's still the military customs courtesies. But after that, like it may be the quick salute. Then it's like, "What's up, Manny? How's it going?" Then I'm like, "Hey, Zach, like good to see you." And if people around me are like, "What? What just happened?" And I'll be like, "That's from trust. That's what's
Yeah.
relationships build. That's how he gets to know me. That's what we should be doing."
Yep. I can concur 100%.
Yeah, so it's like that all the time in my workspace because we work a lot with not a lot of airmen in an ops squadron. So the ones that I work with, I get to know them first name. So in the office, I'm like, "Hey, Tyler, like, how's my reports going?" Stuff like this. And then obviously they're still going to say the rank and stuff, but they know that I'm trying to like warm up to them, get to know them. And then if they ever did call me like Manny or something, I'm not going to like hammer down on them, but it's just to let them know like, "Hey, dude, like we've built a relationship.
Yep.
Let's just do the work." And most of the time, and I always have to emphasize this, a lot of the mistakes I've seen in the military can be dialed down to that airman or person, not having a lot of relationships or trust with the people around them. To the reason they made that mistake was because nobody cared. Like there's
Yep.
probably so many little mistakes where an airman was like, "Oh, I didn't do this because he knew nobody was going to care or nobody cared for him." So there wasn't like that little devil on his shoulder or angel being like, "Hey, I shouldn't do this because, man, if I mess up, Major's going to get in a lot of trouble, but Major cares about me, like he's been working with me. So maybe I should take a little bit more time on this." Like there are so many ways things can be fixed with just relationships. Cause then there's that oversight of that person being like, it's not just affecting me. It's going to affect other people. Most of the mistakes they do,
Agreed.
they just don't think it's
100%.
going to affect anybody. And if it's not going to affect them, they don't care.
When they actually have a working relationship with me and they respect and like me, I've noticed that they work way harder and they'll even
Oh
try to
man.
protect me. They're like, "Hey, Chief, I just want to let you know I heard this coming down the pike," or
Yeah.
I did. This is the pulse check of the kids right now, just to let you know whatever else it is. Whereas if I wasn't that, they wouldn't care, and vice versa. I care about them more. I'm willing to jump on the grenade any time that their name's brought up for anything
Yeah.
or whatever the case may be. I just think that everything works a lot better when they're choosing to follow me or if I'm choosing to follow somebody rather than being forced to. It's like the old quote, if I ever have to say that I'm in charge, I'm not.
Yep.
I don't have to say it. It's just a thing that they're following. They're doing the things that we need to do. And it's not like they're following as much as they're walking beside me because I'm there doing it
Yeah.
too. It's
Exactly.
a team, it's a group project. And I try to always emphasize that. I
Mhm.
rarely say someone that worked for me when someone's asking about somebody. I say, this person, I worked with this person.
Nice. That's good. Yeah, and that's what's so hard about the Air Force. We're so structured in a task of like an AFSC in your job, we lose that concept of a teamwork. Like
Yeah.
all the airmen I've worked with, they're so ingrained in like, oh, I got to get my 5 level or my next task done. To like, so they're at that, they're only at that level of task, not like teamwork. And so when they look up and they see other people are relying on them or need them to do the job, they sort of lose that. And that's why I love the other branches that just do things together. Like the Marines and Army do a great job of just doing
The
everything
Marines are
together.
amazing at it.
Like, man, every officer or Army person I've had on my show, they're just like, it's always like, when we did this, when we do this, when we go here. And I'm always so jealous. I'm like, man, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm glad I don't have your lifestyle because I like mine.
Yeah. Like I like Jarvis is making me up some eggs Benedict right now.
I tell my wife all the time, I'm like, man, it would be so cool to be an Army officer because they just lead so much. But then she's like, yeah, but you want to have any time. And I was like, yeah, no, it'd suck. But
No. I like where I'm at. It's just a nice thought.
but then I'm like, that's why I have Army friends. So I get to do like on the side, like,
Yeah.
um,
I agree. And I think that's why most of the people that I've had issues with in my career, junior sailors or superiors or even peers, they almost always are individuals. That's
yes.
someone I'll work with people, I'll work with their flaws. God knows I have plenty of mine. It's really difficult when they're very ingrained in me first person. It's I have to constantly check myself from right click deleting them and just putting them in the throwaway pile because I just despise that trait so much.
Yeah. But then it's always fun because then you get to like really challenge yourself to break it,
Yep.
and like build that relationship.
I'm
Like
like,
there are
I'm
a
going to
lot of,
make you care about the team. If it
yeah,
kills me, you're going to care about the team.
yeah, like the
Even
older
if you
version
just
of,
pretend to care about the team for my sake.
yeah, the older version of Manny would have just been like, cool, I'm just not going to get to know you. Like you're not worth it. I'll just continue on. But now the new version of me that wants a challenge is going to be like, man, I don't know him that well. Let's go get to know him.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't want to get to know me. Oh, good luck, buddy, because we're going to get to know each other. You're going to
We're
hate
going,
it.
and
But,
that's the quote from the Ted Lasso show. It's
oh,
not his quote, but it's the Walt Disney quote: "Be curious, not judgmental,"
yeah.
and
Yeah.
asking the
That's a
why.
darts one, right? Where he's doing the darts.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
One of my
it's
favorites.
the
Yeah.
what is, and that's something that also that drug and alcohol counselor job that I loved
Mm.
so much brought to me was instead of judging people, I'm a historically huge judger. I love
Yeah.
judging. It's my favorite pastime. It's the greatest thing ever.
Mhm.
And that is what it taught me is instead of just being like, this person's trash. Okay, so what is it that is trash? Let's get to brass
Yeah.
tacks. They're an individual. Why are they individual? Well, I don't
Mhm.
know them. All right, well, let's get to learn them. Oh man, this person had to fend for themselves at an early age.
Yeah.
This person had a chief that threw them underneath the bus. and they've never had a leader that actually cared about them. Of course, they're an individual. Of course, they try to take care of themselves because no one's ever taken care of them. What can I do? I can show this person that I'm going to take care of them. I can lead by example. I can constantly be there for them even when they're not being there for me. And let's see where that goes from there. That being curious, not judgmental, I think has been a major turning point in my career, being able to do that. I wish I would have found that job earlier in my career because I probably would have kept a lot more people in my circle instead of pushing them out. But I live and I learn.
Man, that is like next level leadership right there. Like that's where I'll challenge an airman in leadership, where it's like they're like, hey, what can I do next, dude? Go get to know somebody you don't think you would want to get to know. And I do that now. Like there are definitely a lot of officers, especially like people or officers higher ranking than me, because major is a weird like rank in the Air Force because you're like in this like gray area of like, man, you can't
I
really
think it's
like,
everywhere like that. I think
yeah,
that rank is it's
you
a
can't
no
like do the
man's land.
CGO stuff because you're like too old. But then there's like lieutenant colonels, which is like, man, I don't want to talk to them. They're like lieutenant colonels, man. They're like way up there. So it's like awkward for me to talk to lieutenant colonels now because I still think I'm like this lieutenant captain, right? Like
Yeah,
where I'm like, oh, I still gotta talk to these people to build relationships. But then they're like, oh, what's this major dude talk to me? Like we use the phrase bobs, like majors like the bobs, and so out here under our deployment, it's like, oh, Snare, you're a bob now, and I'm like, oh, what's that mean? Is that good or bad? I don't know. Like
what am
sounds like
I? What's that mean?
it's like I'm not a bob, you guys. Come on, I'm cool, like 6'7",
Remember,
like
guys,
let's.
6'7", 6'7".
But I do have lieutenant colonels that I'm friends with, and the old me would have been like, you don't have to get to know them, like they don't care. But now I'm like, hey, let's challenge myself to get to know this person, like, hey, why is he talking to me? What commonalities do we have? Maybe he remembers what it's like to be that major that's like trying to improve in leadership, but doesn't know what next step to take. And so, yeah, I do that same thing now. I challenge myself to be like, the old me would have been like, dude, you're a dick, man. I'm just not going to talk to you. But it's like,
Yep.
wait, why? Why is he like that? Maybe someone did, like put a knife in his back throughout his career and now he has a grudge. But if we talk about it, he's pretty cool, like, oh, like, and that's how you change and you just grow.
Yeah, and being hyper cognizant of that is what I think. Like I said, I wish I would have learned it way earlier in my career, and not being that stubborn guy that either I'm going to right click delete you, or since you're being shitty to me, I'm going to try to piss you off and start playing that game. I remember at my last job, there was a sailor I cared a lot about. Just bad things kept happening, and it just was no one's fault, just shit. Life sucks sometimes. And he held that grudge against me because, hey, heavy as the head, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll own it. And it was very clear. He even made it clear a couple of times that he was frustrated with how he was, quote unquote, taken care of. And at his going away, it would have been real easy to just pass his gift or give a quick, hey, thanks, so and so. If this is going away, I took that moment to just apologize to him and say, hey, let's call him John. Hey, John, I don't think that your time here was what you wanted it to be. I care about you a lot. We have a lot of things in common. And personally, like as a leader and as the chief, I bear the responsibility for that. And I'm sorry that this wasn't what you wanted it to be. I wish that it could have been better. I hope that you will reach out if you need help. But truly, if you don't hear anything else, I'm sorry that this tour didn't go like you wanted it to.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you also brought up Ted Lasso, which is like one of my favorite like leadership shows. And I have a the Believe sign that my daughter and I painted, and like big, like right in front of my office where everybody sees it, and it's crooked, and I and one of the lines I always use on my son because he's so stubborn is the be a goldfish, man. And it's like that line, man, it's amazing, dude. Like just those words of just like, dude, just forget it. Because it doesn't matter if you mess up. It doesn't matter if you upset somebody. Like nobody's gonna care the next day. And I try to tell my kids that a lot. Heck, I have to tell myself that like all the time.
Fact.
Like, dude, if I think something went wrong, be a goldfish. Nobody cares. Like nobody freaking cares that you messed up or somebody got mad at you, or like you debrief it, right? Which is why we debrief so much as flyers. But outside of that, dude, like stop worrying about it, man. Like it doesn't change
on to the next
anything.
play. My
Yeah.
son will miss a play on the football field, and I'll see him slam his hands or do something else, and I'll talk to him after the game, and I'm like, You don't need to do that. You need to keep your head into it. Coach knows that you didn't want to miss that tackle or you wanted to make that catch or whatever it was, the block. Just make the next one because you're putting yourself in a worse mindset doing that. Stay
Yeah.
focused at what you're doing. It doesn't matter that you messed up. Sure, it matters. You don't have to beat yourself up over it because you're going to make yourself worse, not better. Get out there
Mm-hmm.
and make the next play.
And that's what I tell a lot of airmen too. Like, obviously in the Air Force or most jobs, like an Article 15 or DUI, people think it's like the end of their career, and so they just give up, or they use that, right, that psychological, they use
Yep.
it as a
Yep.
crutch for nothing goes their way or they're not going to get anything now, so they don't do it.
Yep.
Like, yeah, when I got my DUI in college, I probably thought my life was over for a little bit. Heck, my wife and I both did, but I didn't just be like, well, I heard this guy got one and my career is over, like I sort of just continued like it didn't happen because I had to acknowledge it, right? Because it did happen. And then once I just like told the security person in my leadership, like, I messed up, here's what happened, they were just like, okay. And I was like, oh, you mean like I'm not gonna like get kicked out of the military or go to jail? They're like, no, it's you messed up. Like you're still doing all this stuff pretty good. You just did something dumb. Just don't mess up again, right? And I was like, yeah, okay, got it. And
Yeah, like you're going to have to pay the man for it, but
yeah,
it's not the end of your life.
like that was literally the worst part was just all the money I lost, the stress it caused
Yeah.
my wife and I for something that was just there. But then when it came to my career, like heck, I don't even know when I became an officer, it wasn't even there. Like nobody cared. Like I was like, oh,
And I think that's a common thing I've seen being a counselor and just in life in general is people will make things so much worse than they
yeah,
actually are with those cognitive distortions and constantly just spiral of themselves about it. Oh, well, they probably all think that I'm this or that now. And that's where I'll tell like my son or I'll tell anybody, I'm like, okay, so let's say they all think that. They all think that you're a piece of shit.
yeah,
So you have two options right now. You either prove them right or you prove them wrong. Which one are you going to do?
yeah.
Well, I'm going to prove them wrong. All right, then fucking let's do it.
And it's really not that hard to prove them wrong. People think they can't do it because it's going to be like so much work. It's like, no, you're already overthinking it. Like that psychological thing.
Like
again,
you were
right?
good before this happened. It's fine.
I know.
Just go back
Yeah.
to what you were doing. It's okay.
Like you could literally just show up the next day and you'll prove them wrong. Like that's
Yep.
And they're going to be like, okay, he's back. Okay, like that's all it took.
Yep. It's way easier. Sometimes I make the rock that I have to move way bigger in my mind, and then when I finally get myself to go up to it, I'm like, oh man, why was I avoiding this for so long?
Yeah,
this
it's
was
like
not
this
that
big.
difficult. Yeah.
When you thought it was like
This
a
was
boulder.
easy. Yep.
That's half the battle is just starting. That's not even half. It's like 99% of the battle is just starting.
Yeah, definitely the great majority is just getting it started. And then after that, I'm like, oh man, why was I avoiding this task for so long? Or why this and that? This is easy.
Is there any other leadership traits you wanted to cover really quick before we jump into a book or anything that was like itching at you to hit on the show? Obviously, we're at the hour, so like it's already been an amazing episode. I know we could talk for like 4 hours, which is why
I was going to say, I'm going to cut it. I have more. I'm just going to cut it because we've talked about what makes us so much that people are probably already sick of looking at our mustaches.
And that's why I love this show, the way it's set up, because every time we get to like an hour, it's like the juices are just getting flowing.
Yep.
And so people listening are probably like, oh man, like I can keep listening. But at the same time, I'm like, we have time. We got to go do our things. Usually like an hour is like a limit for most podcasts. I know for myself it is. And so it's cool
trying to listen to a 2 or 3 hour podcast from two people that they really don't know. So I think 45 minutes to an hour is the perfect timing. If you want to hear more about how I think about transparency or communication and feedback, hit me up in the DMs. Otherwise, just take from this, don't suck.
Yeah. But yeah, what book do you have for everybody today?
Book I have, I'm positive that you've already read it. Paul Weber gave it to me at a young age in my career, and he's just the man. And it was The Mission, the Minute Me. It's one of my favorite leadership books. So many little life lessons in there. Don't get chased up a tree by a pig, whatever else it is.
Yeah.
I just think that The Mission, the Minute Me is a good book for people to start at.
Yeah, and the one I'll take is the Navy one I like, Turn the Ship Around. Probably one of my favorite military leadership books. Even though a military leadership book is always hard to read because being in the military, you're like, oh, I don't read another like military book. But man, Turn the Ship Around. phenomenal. The whole mission command concept that the Air Force is trying to adopt it now, this late into the Air Force career, or just the Air Force in general, baffles me, because we'll get commanders that are like, we're going to implement this new leadership concept called mission command. And I'm like, oh, that's been around for like 50
Yeah,
years.
that's not new at all.
And we're just now trying to implement it. Like, what is going on? Whenever I hear a commander say that we're implementing this mission command, I'm like, we're already behind, because you're just now
we are
trying
way behind, guys. This is not good.
Great book. And it's super easy to read too, which is why I liked it. It wasn't like very philosophical or anything like that. It's just like, treat people as leaders, let them do what they got to do. And then it was cool is I watched this movie Greyhound with Tom Hanks with my son. And I got to see the way they portray what he talks about and turn the ship around, where Tom Hanks is the captain and everybody was like, sir, going to turn the right rudder like 5 degrees, turn the right rudder 5 degrees. And this person's like, turn the right rudder 5 degrees. And I was like, whoa, I really get to see what this guy was talking about in that book, where like the way the Navy does like the structure of that stuff on the boat, instead of just like the person doing it and telling the person they're going to do it because of this, and the guy just acknowledging it, instead of like this whole like up and down chain of command thing that takes like an extra 5 minutes. I was like, whoa, I get it now.
I couldn't tell you. I've actually 21 years in, and I've never been in the Navy. I've never been stationed on a big gray floaty thing. Couldn't tell you how that stuff works.
Well, cool. That's how it works. Just trust me, I'm an expert. So.
Yeah, sounds good.
I watched the movie.
Yeah, I mean, if it's in the movie, it has to be true.
But yeah, 2 good books there. I'll leave those in the comics. But I did open the heavy coin you got me. So for those not listening, you'll have to follow us to see the picture. But I'll open this Dad Mamma Jamma here that's been sitting at my desk for like 3 months now.
Yeah, we've rescheduled this 72 times.
Way too many times. All right.
So I normally, whenever I send my coin over to somebody, I'll send it with a letter explaining it. I didn't this time just because I knew that we were going to be here explaining it. So I'll explain the front side that has the snake on it and it says nobody at the top. That side is my logo. That's the jump wings from when I was with Recon, Jolly Roger from when I was with Naval Special Warfare. The RFM on the skull is relentless forward movement. So no matter how difficult the task is, if I move forward at a relentless pace, I'm going to overcome it. Normally a chief anchor has a chain. I replaced the chain with a snake because I'm a corpsman, so it's ode to a caduceus. Now the phrase at the top, nobody, and then if you nobody cares, and if you flip it over to the reverse side, it says work harder. Mm-hmm. That's a big phrase of mine. It's part of the logo that I have. And what it is not a work yourself to death phrase. What it is don't be complacent. So if I talk to this senior guy and I'm like, hey, what do you run your PRT in? He'll say, oh, my best time ever. And I'm like, no, not your best time ever. What do you do right now? Nobody cares about all of these old accomplishments. What are you doing right now? And that's where the phrase nobody cares, work harder comes from. And then on the flip side, the picture on there, it's the same tattoo that I have right here. It's the Rose of No Man's Land. It's the World War nurses that were on the front line. And then it has my wife and my son's name down below it because they're behind everything that I do. On the bottom rim of it, I put my name because I thought that the message was more important than blasting my name all over it.
Nice. Man, that's cool. And obviously, if you've seen my podcast, I had that flag that nobody cares, work harder in the background. And the reason I share that one is some airman got it for me as a thank you gift. I think it's funny when people get you a flag that says nobody cares, work harder as like a gift. I'm like, what are you guys saying? You guys saying I don't care? But
but that's what it is. It's exactly the same stuff that you talk about. It doesn't matter that you won this plank contest. What are you doing next? What are you doing right now to make yourself better?
And that's why I love when you just talked about when you ask somebody about their test and they're like, oh, I got back then it's like, no, what are you getting now? That's what I care about. And
they'll ask me sometimes, hey, G, what's your best run time? I'll never answer that question. I say, well, what I run it in right now is.
Yeah. That's why
Or I'll stay faster than whatever you're running because if I'm there, I'll hurt myself, beat you.
Yeah. Man, that's cool. I appreciate it, man.
For sure, bro.
That's cool.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. With that, we will end the show. Just hang out for a little bit. Or do you have any last final shots or?
No, nothing at all. Appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for listening. And just so you know, I'll drop the books and his contact info in the notes below. And then if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out and then provide any feedback and save, share, like, and follow and all the cool stuff. All right.